I'm gonna see the Mopar man down in Jacksonville. I don't know, believe I will kill that man in Jacksonville. Said I don't know, believe I will kill that man in Jacksonville. I'm coming down now in the midnight hour. I'm coming down now in the midnight hour. I know that me is with him. She's wearing a wedding gown. And when I get to Florida, I'm gonna tear their playhouse down. I don't know, believe I will kill that man in Jacksonville. Said I don't know, believe I will kill that man in Jacksonville.
Hey everyone, this is Stoner Van Houten here, and it is March 18th, 2017. Hey, I hope everyone's feeling good, because after what happened last night, it's hard to wake up and feel good after what we witnessed. And what I'm talking about last night is about last night's Channel 7 ABC's special, Manson special. You know, so ABC was doing a big whole Manson special. I don't even know what it was called, something about truth and bullshit, whatever, I don't know. But ABC was doing a special last night about Manson. I'm sure a lot of you saw it. And today on the Stoner Van Houten Show, I'm going to review that special and talk about it, and talk about certain things about that that show. Starting with the two most famous photos that are on the internet, that are the two most famous fake photos that you'll ever see on the internet about the Manson family. And for some odd reason, these two fake photos have made its way right now onto two documentaries. One of them, which was filmed last night. There was another Manson documentary a couple years ago, and there was this other famous photo was on there. And the two famous photos that I am talking about are the ones that you see right behind me, right in front of you. This one right here with Dennis Wilson meeting Charles Manson. Now this is hilarious. This was done by Jack Cook. This is a Photoshop. This particular photo has been in a documentary, and it's been in probably articles and pictures and stuff like that. It's been used, and it's hilarious because this is a Photoshop picture, and people actually believe that Dennis Wilson is right here with Manson, when really this is, I believe, when Dennis Wilson was recording his solo album, like in '77, and really that's just like a sound man or a member of the band, and Jack just took his face off and put Manson's on there. And for some odd reason, people actually really believe that that picture is really of Dennis and Manson. And it's just funny to me how people, you know, when these people that do these shows, the producers or whoever it is, when they go, they don't really research their work when it comes to the photos. This photo ended up on a documentary. Now, last night, the other famous photo that you see here is this one to your right here, this one that claims to be Susan Atkins, but it's not. This is actually an actress who was working with Maynard, the lead singer of Tool at the time, and I believe he was doing some kind of Manson project where he was going to be Manson or some shit like that, and he was making a little movie, and this was part of it. This ended up last night on the ABC special. They were saying this is Susan Atkins, but oh my God, really? Come on, this is not Susan Atkins. This is an actress, and if whoever did the research last night for last night's show, whoever put those pictures together, just didn't really check and see if these photos were real or anything. They just assumed it was them, because, you know, anyone can go on Google and just type in Manson Family Spawn Ranch or Spawn Ranch photos or Manson Family photos or whatever, and you're going to get all kinds of photos. You're going to get the photos that you see in front of me. You're going to get the fake Susan Atkins one where it's a mugshot when really it's an actress, and I don't remember her name. And you can go on mansonblog.com. There's an article about that, about Maynard, him doing his little Manson thing. this woman here and this mugshot, which is completely fake, but ABC used it last night saying it was Susan Atkins, and that was a lie. This picture over here to my left here with Manson with Dennis Wilson, this is another fake photo, I tell you, and it's ended up on a documentary itself. These two photos are the most famous fake Manson photos on the internet, and they somehow seem to get used. It's just amazing how the people that put these shows together really, I understand there's a budget and there's a time limit, and you have to get everything done in a certain time, and it only takes so long. You only have so long to make these documentaries. You got to edit it and cut stuff and everything out. So, you don't have that much time, but my God, you got to put at least a little effort into knowing if these photos are real. Last night was basically not really a Manson show. It was more like the Jeff Ginn special. That's really what it was. This dude who wrote the book, Manson, Manson, it's a terrible book. It was just ridiculous. His information was just, everything he was just saying to me was false and backwards, and just little by little, not everything, but just mainly a lot of little things that he's talking about. And they just talked to him, and it was just basically all about his book. Probably real good promotion for his book. He must have loved it, because they just focused a lot on him. They could have used a lot of different authors. Maybe they could have used George Stimson. They could have used Nicholas Schreck. They could have used a lot of different people. There's been over 200 books written, and they picked his book, and that was probably the worst book they could have picked to use this. But ABC's like that, and they're more on the Deborah Tate side and on Sharon Tate side, and because they really were promoting Sharon as this glamorous, gorgeous person, which she was. But remember, there was 7 other people. There was 7 adults and one child that were killed in this. It wasn't just Sharon. Sharon wasn't the only person killed. There was a lot of other people killed. And really, what I thought that they should have done last night was pay just as much attention to the other victims as they did to Sharon. But did they do that? No, they did not. It was really Sharon this and Sharon that, Sharon's this and that, and she's beautiful and gorgeous, and Roman's so lucky to marry her and all this kind of stuff. I didn't see any kind of presentation like that for Stephen Parent. I didn't see the whole big Stephen Parent grew up, and so this, and he went to high school here. I didn't see any of that. I didn't see a big Rosemary LaBianca and Lino LaBianca thing about them and how wonderful and great they are and how they were going to become something and yada, yada, yada. Sebring got a little bit because he was big. Sebring did get a little bit. Sharon got the most, of course, and then Sebring got a little bit, and then Abigail because Folgers, and then that was it. They didn't do a whole Vorkowski came from this country over to over. They didn't do any of that. So he was really all about, Sharon. So it was Sharon and Jay. That was really the kind of like the two big things, that they paid a lot of attention to. But remember, there's 7 adults and 1 child died here. This isn't just the Sharon Tate murders. This is, and where was Henman? How come they didn't talk about Gary Henman? Did they even make a mention of Gary Henman? Remember, he died too. I think people forget. Remember, you had, Gary, and what about Shorty Shea? So you had Shorty Shea, Gary Henman, Steve Parent, Abigail Folgers, Vortek Verkowski, Lino and Rosemary LaBianca. They all died too, and then Sharon and the baby. So to me, this ABC is really on Deborah Tate's side. They really did everything they could to really, push Deborah Tate's agenda and all this stuff, that she wanted. This was probably produced by Deborah Tate, and I wouldn't be surprised if they got money for this, because none of the Manson families are getting any money for this. There's no way they can. It's impossible. So, but somebody's getting money for it, and I'm sure it's these 3 letters right here, ABC. So really, the show just made it seem like Sharon Tate was the only person murdered, and once again, it just made out Manson to be an absolute monster, and they didn't talk about anything else. Really, they just focused on Manson's a monster, Manson's a monster, Manson's a monster. Did they talk about Bruce Davis, Tex, Bobby Beausoleil? No. Did they talk about George Spahn and Spahn Ranch? No. Did they talk about Death Valley and Barker? No. There was really nothing on that. It was just about Manson the monster, and that's all it was. They were really focusing and doing, a great job of just making everyone believe, lying to everybody like they have been for 48 years about how this man is the most evil man on the planet. And that's really all the special was. How he's the most evil person on the planet, and Sharon Tate's the only person that got killed here. That's what came off last night on this crappy ABC special that was basically the Jeff Ginn story. So that was the way it was. Now, was there any footage that was like new? Yeah, there was just that backstage stuff between, Diane Sawyer and Manson. Remember that whole interview probably was hours and hours long, and then they had to break it down to however long that special was at the time when it came out. It could have been about 2 hours, 3 hours, and really she probably interviewed him for like 6, 7 hours or whatever. So all they basically showed you, the only really good stuff about anything good last night, and I'll say something good about last night, the only good thing about it was they just showed you the backstage Diane Sawyer stuff in the prison at Corcoran. Okay. They showed you some video of when the news reporters found the clothing of the killers, which was interesting. They actually showed you the raw footage of when they actually found the clothing, and the clothing was still out there, and that was actually pretty cool. And then also they talked to Lisa Statman, who wrote this book, Restless Souls. She was on the show, and it was actually kind of interesting to hear what she had to say, because I wasn't expecting her to be on the show. So she was on the show, and then they had some footage about the, where the clothes were, and then they had some backstage stuff between Diane Sawyer and Manson, and that was really it for me. Those were only the three things that I kind of took away that was a little surprising. And then you had this guy come on and talk about chapter 12 of his book and how ridiculous that was, and he showered with Lynette Fromme, and then Manson comes in, you can't leave the group, and it's like, oh god, here we go with this guy. And and we already knew what he was going to say, and this was just a bunch of crap where Manson cut a black man in half with an M16 at Spawn Ranch and shoved him down a well. Yeah, all right. But yeah, so we knew about the Mike Love stuff, and that was about it. I knew that was going to happen. But with Elisa Statman, that was very interesting. With the footage of where they found the clothes, that was very interesting. And also the backstage stuff that you didn't see with Diane Sawyer with Manson and Corcoran when they bring him in, and they're talking to the sound man, and they're talking just the lighting guy, I don't know, whatever, the guy who ran the catering that day. We have new footage, brand new footage. We're going to talk to the guys who ran catering the day we interviewed Manson. But yeah, so it was your basic just nonsense, bullshit, 2 hours of just making this man out to be this horrifying monster, and making Sharon Tate out to be the only person that was murdered in this case, when really it was 7 adults and 1 child were murdered, not just her. Murder's horrible and nobody needs to be murdered, but let's just remember 7 adults and 1 child were killed, not just Sharon Tate. Remember, you had that was just in the Tate LaBianca killings. You still had Henman, and you still had Shorty Shea. So really you have 9 adults and 1 child dying in this case. So you have Gary Henman, Shorty Shea, and then the victims, all the Tate LaBianca murders, plus 1 child. So it wasn't just Sharon Tate, but really ABC was on Sharon Tate's side, obviously, and they signed the petition and all that stuff for Deborah Tate, when she has that petition that she always has people sign for when anybody of the Manson members come up for parole. So obviously it was one of those things, It's kind of like Fox News being on, Hillary Clinton's side or something like that. Everybody's on one side. They're just favoring one side. So ABC was definitely favoring, the Tate side, and it was financed probably by Tate. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Tate members of the Tate family received money for that. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. It wouldn't just surprise me if they got a little cash for doing stuff, for helping out. So really, the overall take on these shows. Now, look, the next 3 years, you're going to see a lot of crap like this. This is just the very beginning of what's going to occur the next 3 years. The closer we get to August 8th, 2019, which will be the 50th anniversary of this crime, you're going to see a lot of stuff. This is the very beginning of it. So let me just send a message out to every person, every producer out there in Hollywood and Canada and all over the world. If you guys are going to make a documentary on the Manson family, because the 50th anniversary is coming up, the best advice I can give you is do your research and make sure you have the proper photos for what you're explaining in your documentary. Because don't be like these people like ABC, these other documentaries where they use stupid pictures like Dennis Wilson meeting Manson in 77 when people know he's not free in 77. Come on, hello. Remember 69, he was already locked up. And then this picture with Susan over here, this is an actress, and it will always be an actress, but it always seems to get used. Please do your homework on this stuff. Check out mansonblog.com, go to mansonsbackporch.com, and look up for some real information on stuff. And then don't just fall for what everyone else is falling for on the internet. See, you probably just go to Google and type in Manson photos, and then you come up with this, and you decide to use that for your documentary. Please learn from this. I know for a fact that the Reels channel, the History channel, you guys are working on stuff, and I'm sure there's a lot of other companies out there working on stuff. Use this ABC special as an example of what not to do, okay? Because your videos are going to get criticized, whether or not I help you or other people that we know help you. It doesn't matter. They're all going to get, criticized in some form or get reviewed in some form or another. So just take this as an example of what ABC did wrong. They didn't show anything new besides, like I said, besides the Elisa Statman stuff, the footage of the clothing, and oh fuck, there was one other thing, the footage of the clothing, the Elisa Statman stuff, and one other thing there was, besides that, there was really nothing. Oh, the backstage with Diane Sawyer at Corcoran. There was nothing new that they brought to the table. They just made Manson out to be a monster. As always, he's evil, he's evil, he's evil. Nothing about George Spahn, what a great person he is, what a wonderful family he has nowadays. Nothing about Manson's grandson, Jason Freeman. Nothing about that. It was strictly about one individual named Charles Manson, who they focused on, and he is still the devil to this day. And what they were basically saying is, even at 83, he's just as malicious and evil and terrifying as he was when he was 38 years old back in the 60s. So, so that was basically it. Because, see, fear equals money. And as long as they keep you in fear of this guy, it will generate money, because it's going to be intriguing. The more you get scared, the more intrigued you're going to want to see stuff. And believe me, there's going to be documentaries coming out. And you producers of these documentaries, please watch what ABC did wrong. Learn from this. Make sure to do your homework when you look at these photos. I've got more unseen photos behind me right now than you guys did in all your documentaries. I'll tell you that right now. In this room right here, I've got better and more fucking unseen, never before seen photos than you guys have in all the fucking documentaries that you guys have put out there. Everything we saw last, we've seen it, and we laughed. And when that Susan poster popped up, I was laughing, Joel Bangley was laughing, all the way to fucking New York, from LA to New York, we were laughing. My God, because everyone knew that photo was false. We were waiting for the Dennis Wilson photo to come up, believe me. I was waiting during that ABC special for the Dennis Wilson pop-up with Manson. I was going, oh God, Jeff Ginn's such an idiot. I bet you he'll fall for it. Please, that's going to pop up. It's going to pop up. It never did, but man, we were waiting for it. And if it did, we would have been rolling. Because the Susan one popped up, and we're like, oh, they got one fake photo got in there. You know, ABC fell for it. Look, so this is Stoner Van Houten here with the best message I can give to any producer out there, anybody that's going to make a documentary. Please learn from what ABC did wrong last night. Please. Please, do your homework, do your research, make phone calls, make emails, whatever it takes, get the proper information before you put it to print. You know, I know that saying in life, you know, the old Western days, you know, when the legend becomes greater than the truth, print the legend. Well, I think in this case we've been lied to for so long, it's about time we print the truth about certain things. We can't tell you the truth about everything because we don't know the truth about everything. It's impossible to know everything about this case. There's so much of this case to know. It is absolutely impossible. So there are small little things that have nothing to do with the case. Spahn Ranch, George Spahn's family, Jason Freeman, the grandson of Manson. We could talk about that and what life's like now, social media and what it's done for the Manson family and what it's done for people like me and YouTube and stuff like that, and where's it heading. You know, we could talk about that because that is the truth. As far as how we go from Spahn Ranch up until how 9 people are murdered, hey, wow, that's a big, huge gap, and not even the LAPD can figure that out. So this is Stoner Van Houten here, reviewing ABC's Manson special that he did last night, which was just the same old helter-skelter bullshit, which this is the first of many that we're going to see in the next 3 years. Believe me, and like I said, anyone making a documentary in the next 3 years for the 50th anniversary, please learn from what ABC did last night. Learn what they did wrong and make that change. Try to do a little better in your investigation and learn more about what you are you're putting out there as far as the information. I know it's tricky because this is one of the most complicated and weird cases, and there's so much stuff out there about this particular case. But the thing I can do is just send emails to people. If you need to talk to me, you can send me an email, stoner420fox at yahoo.com. Any producer that's out there. If you want to talk to me, if you need some photos or whatever, I don't know. We'll see what we can do. But just send me an email. Let me know what you're doing. If you want to, hey, if you guys, anybody out there that's making a documentary and you want to use the music of a great band called The Hook. They're from Kentucky. That opening song that I just played was called Jacksonville. They're a great band, southern band from Kentucky. I'm sure they wouldn't mind, you know, selling some of their music to be used in a documentary and stuff like that too. So they're called the Jimmy Hook Band. But if you go to ReverbNation.com, just type in The Hook, and you'll see all their songs on there. So if you want to use some of their songs, that'd be great. I'm sure they would love the promotion of that. So this is Stoner Van Houten here. with the review of ABC special last night, Manson's crappy special that they put on, whatever it was, with Jeff Ginn. The Jeff Ginn special, really what it was called, ABC, the Jeff Ginn story. That's really what it was. All right, so take care, and I'm going to leave you with the Jimmy Hook Band now playing one of the best opening theme songs, but now I'm going to use it as a closing theme song. It's called Spawn Ranch Worker. Take care, everyone.
Well, I'm not a small ranch worker, and it fits me to a T. I'm a small ranch worker, and it fits me to a T. If you want some family conversation, come on and smoke the bowl with me. Take a tour with me now, down the Santa Susana Pass. I got lots of family knowledge, and I'm stoned off my ass. I'm a small ranch worker, and it fits me to a T. If you want some family conversation, come on and smoke the